Okay, Wayne, you got cut off by that break. Wayne Madsen and WayneMadsenReport.com, investigative journalist. You were getting down to the bottom line with what's happening with BP.
They've got this plant that they've expanded on Lake Michigan that's processing heavy Canadian crude. They have reneged on all the promises they made to the court when the environmental groups up here sued BP. The courts, of course, like many, would found in their favor, but said they promised they would take mitigating, they would do this mitigation to prevent their increased pollution from having an effect on Lake Michigan. But what I'm told here is that this Hammond refinery is an accident waiting to happen. They have a record of safety violations, environmental violations, and that what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico today could easily happen to Lake Michigan. Affect not only the city of Chicago, but all the other cities and towns on Lake Michigan. And the Obama administration has done nothing. EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson has done nothing to hold BP's feet to the fire, just like we're seeing them provide cover for them in the Gulf. And I would note that when this issue came up with the expansion of the refinery in Hammond, Indiana, BP was caught. Well, they were taking full-page ads out in papers defending its position, defending the plant, defending its request for a permit to expand the plant. But it was also found out they were paying Internet bloggers to go out and trash anybody who criticized this expansion of the plant. And I would note that that's going on right now with people who are reporting, including myself, people who are reporting what the government's covering up in the Gulf of Mexico. BP is paying Internet bloggers, and they're sponsoring websites to attack any information that runs counter to their PR department.
Well, that was my next point, is have you seen the CBS News piece? It's up on Infowars.com.
I have, and this is no... Because what I reported is the Coast Guard is part of the problem. It's part of the Homeland Security Department under Napolitano. The Coast Guard is basically covering for BP on orders of Napolitano. But this is really irritating people that I'm hearing from with the Army Corps of Engineers. And believe it or not, FEMA comes out smelling like a rose here. FEMA's really upset that what they're seeing with NOAA and the Coast Guard and the EPA covering up for what they've seen as a huge disaster. And
well, for those that just joined us, all over the Gulf Coast, if anybody tries to go up, including CBS News, with video cameras on public beaches to show the oil, armed men come up and say, get out of here. I mean, this is not America. And going back 3 years ago, a few years after Katrina, Greg Palast of the BBC was working for ABC on the story. He went and showed one of these FEMA facilities that was holding people, in these trailers of these emergency communities, and Palast tried to videotape that was right next to a chemical dump, and they put out an arrest warrant for him that got retracted for terrorism, for violating national infrastructure security. So if we're wondering where the government's going under the Patriot Act, they are using it to cover up real environmental problems.
Hey, in that CBS video, that footage, the two Coast Guard guys tell CBS, the CBS crew, we're following BP rules here. We're under BP. Well, since when did the Coast Guard take orders from BP? I thought it was the other way around. So I think this is further proof of what's happening with corporate fascism in this country.
It's incredible. I mean, all over the nation, you'll try to videotape, a police car from 100 yards away, and they'll come over and say, turn your camera off and arrest you. Or you try to show what BP's doing, they threaten to arrest you. I mean, it's just no First Amendment. And then you got Kagan, who openly says she doesn't believe in the First Amendment. And they're like, oh, great. Another Goldman Sachs crook. This is who we need as the new Supreme Court justice. I mean, this is tyranny on every front. I want to hit a few other issues with Wayne Madsen on other big stories he's working on in the next 5 minutes. And we have another guest joining us who's fighting the New World Order toe-to-toe.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, they're marching on the Capitol in Thailand. They're marching on the Capitol in Greece. Worldwide, the people are getting more and more angry. Incumbents are being thrown out in the primaries all across the United States, Democrats and Republicans. The people are waking up. Wayne Madsen, if you're going to be spending a lot of time in Chicago, I was asking you during the last break could this be what unravels Obama? And you said, absolutely, that's why I'm here. And you were saying the conventional wisdom on the street is he's not going to be running for re-election. And we've even had Howard Dean coming out saying he may run and that they may run other Democrats against him. So the bigger they are, the harder they fall. They built this guy up like it was the second coming of Christ. But boy, I tell you, he is crashing and burning. What's your take on that, Wayne?
Well, Obama waltzed in the last campaign without any kind of checks. He was a rock star, and he glided in, and he didn't really take much in the way of any barbs. But this next time he will, and Michelle knows that. They didn't have much money when he was in the Illinois State Senate. He's made all kinds of money now, and apparently her thinking is if they would leave cut and run now, they could make more money as an ex-president than Bill Clinton even made, and that's what they may be looking for. Obama's got a huge ego, and he really does not take criticism very well. He may elect, and we might hear, well, for my family, my children, this is, another campaign is going to be too tough. They'll come up with something.
Now, from your sources, is he bisexual, or is the, what do they call that in Hollywood, is his wife and kids a beard?
Well, it would be, the wife would be a beard, absolutely would be a beard. And look, there's a big scandal here with the Republican candidate for Senate, Kirk, now being outed as part of this gay ring along with Dennis Hastert and Mark Foley. So, it's in both parties in this state.
Absolutely. I mean, I have nothing against gay people, but why is it in Rome or anywhere else when in the decline it becomes like a guild, and the only people they're outing are the straights?
Yeah, well, the problem with Kirk is he's apparently a Naval Reserve officer, Navy intelligence. So here we go with not only the don't ask, don't tell issue, but also highly blackmailable. Now he wants to be the United States Senator filling Obama's old seat from Illinois.
So you predict curtains for Obama unless they launch an Iran war, or what's your intel on how the establishment's going to try to finesse and finagle their way out of this?
I think they could launch an Iran war and also, say to Obama, let's go ahead, go make a lot more money than Bill Clinton, and we'll have another person we'll invest it. Bring in as the presidential candidate.
And again, folks, Wayne Madsen doesn't just say things. He's one of our best sources of info. And this is just incredible coming from you, I guess, because you're there doing the research, because if he is a completely homosexual, my God, he is so blackmailed, isn't he?
Right, he is. And remember, I supported Obama, but I put myself in the category of people that didn't do their job properly and investigate them. But the secrets were all here in Chicago, and there was just so many stories and so few people willing to dig deep on them. And because, as I mentioned, the Chicago newspapers have basically been destroyed.
Well, Bush was so bad, you would think anything could be better, and then it just gets worse. And I think it's the establishment has committed so many crimes. Why not commit a million more? Do you agree with me that all their chips are in, though? I mean, the establishment is going for broke.
Well, I think that it's like a wild animal when cornered or treed, they lash out, and I think that's exactly what these people are capable of doing. We don't know. They still have a lot of influence. They still have a lot of power. What they're capable of, and certainly starting a war would be something. They've opted for that in the past. They would opt for it again in the future. But I think maybe the people around the world are a little wise to their.
Absolutely, WayneMadsenReport.com. Wayne, thanks for coming on. God bless you.
Okay, thank you, Alan.